Welcome in, everyone, to the X Challenge Aftershow. Tonight, we're talking about X on the Beach, Season 5, Episode 5, The Ex-Husband and the Best Friend. That's literally the title. These producers are running out of ideas. That's all. They just wrote what's on the show. They didn't even try to come up with something quippy. Ladies, how you doing? I mixed it up.
Good, Joey Tribbiani.
There it is.
Yeah.
That was the title. I was like, come on. That's the title. You just said who came on. Like, that's what it was.
Dan, it's funny though, because I will never look at a title of an episode, I think, ever. So
I mean, the only reason I ever do is because I like to say it ahead of the, like, in the opening monologue, as they say. But I don't know. I just thought it was like so lame. Like, they can't do anything somewhat original on this show. Because I'm telling you right now, ladies, and I think we should cover this soon, the Real World Homecoming. Oh my God, those first 2 episodes, I was so invested. And now they release those once a week like this. I was like, I want to watch more. And I'm like, I have to wait a week for this. And that is the feeling I want when I cover a show. Like, I just want to have that feeling.
Switch this to half and half then. Of half, we can give 10 minutes to X on the Beach because that's what it needs. And then do the...
And we can talk about, I think we should totally do that for the next couple of weeks coming up. We would do like an hour talk on the real world stuff because there's so many different things to go into, to dive into.
Much more interesting.
Well, I will say I wasn't totally excited to watch this episode of X on the Beach, but I actually really liked it. It actually had my attention the whole time. I really liked the Table of Truth. I really loved Renin's ex coming in and seeing her in that way and just seeing her as a person. I really just think she's great and appreciate her. And I know that they're divorced and that's heartbreaking. And there must've been something really bad there for that to happen. But I wish that they could kind of work it out because they have a nice friendship when it is working, but there's obviously like a sadness there that she's not feeling appreciated by him. But I liked her part of this episode. And there was some other kind of quirky, funny stuff too that happened. So I like this episode.
I like the show. I mean, I don't dislike it as much as, I mean, it is stupid as much as that guy but hold back to the title. When you have a Word document and you're like save and it just has like, Dear John, like, do you want like the first, that's like what this title was. Like
you nailed it, Pam. That like, is what it's the opening line.
And husband come and they're like, do you want to just call it that? Like, sure.
Or this was a typo, right? Like that they accidentally put it out this way when it was like, oh no, that was supposed to be like the sentence description about the episode.
Right.
The title.
I like what you said, Jenna. I agree with a lot of that, except that I think like my summary of this show is someone that doesn't like men trying to prove how dumb they are, because this show is like the quality of the women versus the men is like almost laughable. Like every guy is kind of like a dumb idiot.
Right.
How about boat guy? They could have just called this boat guy. Remember him, the boat guy? All the women are pretty great and complex and like smart and articulate. And then the guys are all like, I don't know, fuck you. Like almost like an SNL skit about stupid men that it's like it's hard to
grasp onto real relationships when half the people, which is half the genders here, they're just all the dudes on this show are awful. There's not one that I'm rooting for. And what I was gonna say that I liked about the show was Nicole coming in, which is Ray's best friend, that girl, because I think at least with her coming in, a lot of the guys are very interested in someone new coming in. I think they need that because just there's nothing happening. Yeah. And then the one dude that goes after her is that Bryce guy who has the weirdest flirting game I've ever seen in my life. And I wanted to ask you ladies this, when he was flirting with her at the tail end of this episode, does that work? What the hell was he saying? I've never talked to a woman that way in my life before. And she's just sitting back in her chair, taking it in. I'm like, is she buying this? Because this is garbage.
She's not buying it.
Can we run through it again? Do you remember some of the
Yes, I do remember what he was saying. He's like, yo, you're the real queen in this house, girl. No one else is the queen. And you know what? I'm the king of this house. I'm like, who says these things?
Who are you? And you need to match my king energy. Like,
oh my God. I'm like, this is like I know I'm a millennial. What's after
Yeah.
millennials? What's the next? Is that how they flirt nowadays? Is that the next generation of
Gen
flirting?
X,
What's the one below
like
us?
older, oh, younger than millennials?
Yeah, younger,
I
not
don't
the
know, Jenna,
boomers. I
are you,
need what's
no, you're
younger?
I don't
I'm
know.
not that young.
Generation
But I do
X,
think-
Z.
I do think there are some people out there who flirt like that and talk like that.
Well, we
Yeah.
saw it. We saw it on the episode, Jenna.
We
That was
saw
not
it,
scripted. That was how he talks to women.
Well,
I
that was
actually
what
don't even know why he's on this show. I don't find him entertaining at all.
No.
There's nothing that it kind of sucks. And he probably thinks he's the coolest. He's the shit, right? Because now he's on reality TV because he was on Too Hot to Handle too,
But
right?
this is what he was like on that. Like, he
Yeah.
had no point, no one, no relationships.
He
or
was, yeah,
interactions.
he's just the guy at the frat bro that parties on the yacht. So for him to now get plucked out of that and be on reality TV, he probably thinks it's like the coolest thing ever.
It was
Yeah.
probably like a last, like he was like a stand-in, and 4 people couldn't come because
4 people couldn't come.
right, like
Four.
couldn't make it. Like, can you come up
16 other
with people
people in
like-
rotation in front of him.
And then they're like, oh, this guy, I guess, is part of the CBS.
Who's wait?
family
So he
now.
was just a fresh single, right? He had no other affiliation. They just brought him in as a fresh single.
Fresh single, but the same thing. Like when I was like, he's a tool. He lives on a boat, which sort of sounds cool. This is exactly what he was like. He had no point, no interactions. No one was interested in him. And then like he'd come on and be like, living on a boat's rad, man.
Right.
Like when I tell ladies they get to come back to a boat, oh man, talk about wet. It's like, oh, like it's.
Well, I think
so,
that's why he's on the show. So that's it right there. That's
Maybe
why he's
that's
here,
it.
is for us to hate him, to hate on him.
'cause
And
it's-
Yes,
gonna
but okay.
work.
So let me give you a quick example though. I always talk about like on the challenge how we have people we love to hate and have people that we just like. Why, Fessy? Why are you here? But when Bananas and Cara are on, I love to hate them. And once we talk about the new Real World Homecoming, there's someone on that show that I love to hate. It's
Oh, yeah,
just
me too.
unreal. It's so entertaining, and I hate this person, but at the same time, I'm like, I can't not watch it happen.
Right, let's
Yeah.
okay. I want to
Bryce-
talk about that too. Okay.
But Bryce is almost a worse Fessy. I don't want to watch this person. I hate him, and he's not enjoyable to hate. That's my point.
Right.
At least they don't give him a lot of time, like a Fessy that like the whole episode is structured on him. I'm like, who is that guy reading this? And I'm like, oh, boat guy. And then at the end, I
Boat
just wrote,
guy.
boat guy. I wrote, oh, hey, boat guy, like in the middle of this.
Yeah.
And
Like,
at the
oh,
end,
Boat Guy's back. Boat Bryce is back for a minute.
Bryce is such a tool. No, that flirting. And she was like, like, there's no, it doesn't
Like
work.
if she goes after, I
Nobody
mean,
thinks
that's what I,
that's cool.
but like at least like she comes on, she adds a little bit of energy. Like there's someone fresh in the house. I'm like, okay, guys will be interested in her for a couple reasons. Sitting in my Boston Celtics area, like just in general, I'm on it. Just let's be real. So
I like her. Yeah, okay.
and I think that she has some fun energy. I like her on the show, and that's why I wanted the other girl to stay too, though, Caro, because
Caro,
Yeah.
bam, they go after each other. 2 heavy hitters like that. That'd be something fun, but we didn't get to see that.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's obviously that was the intention, but we just
Yeah.
didn't get it because Carol left. So they were waiting, I think, until a certain episode for us to be invested, for us to follow the storylines. Maybe they were hoping Caro and Ray were going to be in a good place. Like this reminds me of
Right.
something that had happened on previous seasons where like Morgan and Jay are in a good place or something. And then they bring in one of Morgan's other exes that she's attracted to and they have unfinished business. That's what they wanted to do here. but
That's
Carol
why the
left.
show worked. That's why that show used to work, and now
Right.
Yeah.
it
It
hasn't
looks like
hit yet
that's-
for me. But yeah.
But there was something interesting that was happening as the exes were coming onto the beach at the beginning of the episode because Nicole comes in for Ray and then Renan's ex comes in. Elias is his name?
Elias.
Elias, sorry. I forgot how to pronounce that. I was just
They call him Eli as well.
I'm so sorry. But both of the exes who were coming onto the beach were talking about how much they love like the OG who's already in the house, how much they
Right.
value their friendship, how close they think they are,
Right.
how great friends they are. But the OGs who were there were like not happy with them coming at all. So that's what was interesting is in their confessionals, the new exes are saying like, we're best friends, we're so close. I love them. And then the singles couldn't just be more uncomfortable and like angry that they were showing up. So that was kind of interesting. And I think that's
Yes.
where the disconnect is because the exes were thinking they're in a good place, but something must have bothered the singles about their exes that obviously that's like the disconnect. That's why they're not working as a couple.
and I'm going to take exactly your analogy and mirror why the women on this are so superior to the men within that analogy. So the reason why Renin, so yes, that I thought was great too, especially with Nicole, who was just saying, there's nothing, of course, like, do you think he's going to be happy? Was the producer question. It's like, I think he'll be psyched to see me. We're best friends. We get along, like, whatever happened, I want to hash out and figure out, but like, we get along great. I can't imagine him not being psyched to see me. And then he's like, what do you want? Why are you here?
No,
So
what do you
with
want, Nicole? What
Renin
do you
and
want?
Elias, sorry, what did you say?
No, you're right. I was just repeating back to you what Ray said. Like, what do you want? As if I feel
Right.
like he was deflecting any responsibility to what happened with him and Caro onto Nicole. Because obviously he's now embarrassed because Caro found out that he had sex with Nicole while him and Caro were off, but also while he was trying to have feelings for Caro. I don't know. He's so sloppy and he has no one else to blame but himself. But now Nicole's here. So now he's like, oh, now the punching bag is here. I don't know.
Right.
It's hard to believe
And it was just so cold with.
I'm just saying with Ray, he's all over the map. You can't root for him. You can't you can't even like hop on his bandwagon for one episode, then hop back off it. It's like, dude, everything you're saying is garbage. I can't even, make ones and twos of him with his relationship. So
I agree. So with Renin, back to the analogy. So with Renin and Elias, I also agree that it was great to see her personality come through because we haven't seen anything from her. The reason she was pissed is because she was deeply hurt. She's like, you're my family. You were my husband. I was in a war-torn country and you didn't reach out. Like, you don't seem to care. And again, I think he cares when it's convenient to him, but like, again, not enough to actually do anything out of his, like I'm sure he genuinely cares about her, but he's not a giving person. He seems like a dick to me too. So that was why she was sort of unresponsive. And then with Ray, again, it's like, even if he's just so cold and obnoxious, that it's like, even if you don't want to date me or something, like, you're calling me your best friend, who would you treat like that? Even like a coworker I didn't like, if they washed up on the beach, I'd be like, oh, hey,
Yeah.
I would be like, what do you want from me? Why are you here? Like, it was
So mean
so
and uninviting. Yeah.
yeah,
Like
it's clear from the
feel
start that
embarrassed for coming.
childish. Like, they made a
Yeah.
kindergarten teacher again to be like, we don't treat friends that way.
It's clear from the start that Ray and Nicole came from two different perspectives of that relationship. He got horny one day, let's be real, and he had sex with her. And then he wants to go back to being best friends as if there's not going to be some like thing from Nicole, like, so wait, do you like me more than a friend? Because friends don't usually have sex. Let's be real here. And then he wanted to just be like, no, yeah, we're nothing. He got horny one day because that's Ray.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's most men, let's be real. But like, he wanted to have sex with someone. She was available and interested, and he just did it and hoped that there'd be no repercussions. And of course there is, because there was some more. When they talked on the beach, because we can break each of these things down, because those are the two heavy hitters tonight, is Ray and Nicole, and then Renin and Elias. When they sat on when they were sitting there, clearly Nicole, she got a little emotional. I don't think that was for cameras. She got teared up a little bit. So I was like, okay, there are real feelings here at least. And then on the Renin side, which they had them sitting, by the way, on rocks. Did you see that? I was like, how is that comfortable? And their relationship's on the rocks. So maybe there was some type of, I don't know, something they were going for there. But Elias came in at least and he was honest. He's like, I'm not here to get her back. I'm here to just try to be friends with her again. And I like that. At least he wasn't like full of shit, like trying to get more airtime. Like we could hope that they could get back together. He made it clear, I just want to be friends. So at least there was some realness to those two opening conversations. So maybe that's why I got into the show a little bit more than you usually do. And maybe that's why you ladies really like this episode, because it felt more real.
Episode was Renin's was obviously very real. They were married, like, as Davon said, like, that was a whole ass husband, not like a fling. Like, they were married, not in like a Britney Spears in Vegas kind of married. Like, they were married. And yes, those feelings were real. Exactly, Dan. I'm just reiterating what you're saying. And with Nicole too, when someone teared up, like, I don't know, a part of me feels like she doesn't really doesn't really want to date him or be in a relationship with him, but it's still rude, mean.
Right. If you're best
like
friends with
that,
someone, like you said, you don't treat someone that coldly to see them. You say, oh, hey, it's great to see you. We have a lot to talk about. I
right.
just want to be friends.
Especially
like, why would he be?
when
I think
that's
maybe
like
he's trying to
your
get Carol
intro.
back. He's trying to get
Yeah.
Carol back after the show, and he doesn't want anything to come off like he even liked her a little bit to prove to Carol that he can be the man she wants. But I think Ray just doesn't. I think Ray wants to just be a player for another 10 years, and then he'll settle down in his 30s. It is what it is.
Fine.
Fine.
Don't pretend to just say I'm exactly like it's like too stupid to even talk about. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I felt bad for Nicole, but the girls, I mean, at least that was cool that the girls gave her the benefit of the doubt and wanted to hear her side of the story and embraced her and were inviting to her. Because also, when you come into a house and you're thinking the ex that you're meeting is just your best friend who you kind of were flirting with and starting to hook up with, and you were excited to see them, and they're not there to be your lifeline in the house, that can be really intimidating and overwhelming to then walk into a house where all of these different relationships and friendships are established, and now the one person who you thought was going to be happy to see you,
right,
not welcoming at all. So it was probably, that sucked and was intimidating for her.
Absolutely.
And as far as the Nicole thing go, the girls went right up to her when she got into that house and said, hey, tell us what's going on with Ray. And she's like,
yeah, they have to know. You can't trust Ray.
We can't trust Ray. Tell me your perspective. We finally have the lifeline that we've been looking for here instead of listening to Ray's bullshit for the past 4 weeks. Yeah. So please tell us what Ray did. And she's like, we went on a date, all this stuff. And then Ray's saying, well, we went out for ice cream. I can see that from both perspectives because you can just read a situation wrong, whatever. So I think that Ray definitely led her on and then got her in the bedroom when he wanted to. But at the same time, Nicole, like, come on, Ray is if you're best friends with Ray, Ray's probably a player because you're best friends with him. So when he has sex with you, probably try not to read too much into it.
Well,
maybe.
But again, in that conversation, she's like, and you said you had feelings, and he's like, but. Mm-hmm. And it's like, but you didn't want to be in a whatever. It's like, no, but if a guy friend of mine, and I was in my 22 when you're hooking up with all your friends, you know what I mean? Like when there's best friend means we also hang out.
Right.
We didn't just meet at a bar. Like we're in a friend group that knows each other. If they called me and said, can I take you out for ice cream? Oh, I have feelings for you. And then we had sex. And then they were like, what? How could you misconstrue that as me wanting anything? It's like,
well, that's the big thing.
Say, let's date exclusively. Can I, put a ring on it? But it's like, you kind of indicated that something might happen.
Yeah. If you say you have feelings for someone, it's not in a best friend way. If you ever say, I have feelings for you, that's not, I'm your best friend. That's, I want something possibly more than that. Right. And I'm sure as many guys do, he said what he had to say to get her between the sheets. It's a tale as old as time.
Ray tries to gaslight, but he's really bad at it.
Yep.
So it sadly may have worked on Nicole because it sounded like him saying, I have feelings for you and I want to take you on a date did work. And she believes like, oh, he does have feelings for me. Like now we're taking it from a stage of friendship to hanging out to maybe dating. So that part worked. But on the tail end, when he's trying to say, it was just ice cream, who cares? That wasn't a date. Like him trying to gaslight to make it seem like she's the one that's fabricating the situation. It's not working because everybody's seeing through it. They're like, no, Ray, like you literally took her out on a date and like courting her in a sense to sleep with her. And now that you did, now you're over it. And
like,
now
what? Yeah. Exactly. It's
like everyone's like, no, you're wrong.
Yeah, exactly. It's one thing if like they were in a dorm and it was like, I'm going for ice cream, want to come?
Right,
like,
right.
That's not like, oh, I want to like, let's go. But to like call someone, pick them up, ask them to do it, pay, and then have sex with them becomes a date. Like that's.
So there is a couple other smaller storylines here that we can mention real quick before we get to the big table of truth message in a bottle thing. And that is David courting Kira or Kyra?
Kira. Just Kira. It's just spelled stupid.
So David's courting her. Again, it doesn't feel like there's a real connection there at all. I'm not buying it. They're just like, all right, do you want to be my TV couple for a couple weeks right now to try to get some more Instagram followers? That's how it feels for me. I don't feel any realness between them. you can it's just so obvious when we watch stuff as viewers on reality TV. We say that person really likes that person. I can tell in their eyes. I can tell in the way they talk to each other. This feels like two people talking to a wall and trying to have sex with a wall. Like cut a hole in the freaking wall and do it. Like that's it to me.
I think he's kind of interested. I don't think she is at all.
That's okay. So you're right, Jenna. Sorry. That's the truth, Jenna. You're exactly right.
And I think he thinks he's interested, but isn't.
Yeah.
I think he's like, she's pretty. Like everything conditioned in his life has made him think he should like this girl. So much that he thinks he should like this girl, that like he's even responding to those cues, and that he genuinely thinks he does. She's pretty, what's not to like? And I think she is so super open that it's like, why not? Sure. Like she's having a fine time flirting.
Well, let me say this too. So I don't know if she is super into him, but there is a shot when they make the beds into what they're calling on the show a mega bed. They put the two twin beds together and they're lying there and they're facing each other. And you actually, if you look, you see her arm or hand, and she's like kind of rubbing his I guess his bat wing here. So she's rubbing that. So there is some type of affection going on, even if she's just like, I'm sexually attracted to you. There is something there possibly, because I did see that. It was such a weird angle too. I don't think she's looking like to make sure the camera's watching while she does it. So maybe that was a little natural, but still I'm not feeling the full. Yeah, I'm not really feeling it.
Like affectionate. That's like pet, like the way I like.
Yeah.
Still, it's still touching. It's still some touch.
It is. No, I think that they're both nice people that might develop a genuine connection and stay. I really like both of these people. I think he's confused and I think she's open. So it's like, you know, they might think, but I don't.
Well, see, that's how pathetic this show is at this point. I'm looking for any sign possible for a real connection. I'm like, she touched him. She touched him. It's got to be something.
Yeah.
Nah.
And it seems like someone could come next week and David would just want to hang out with them too. I don't know.
And they mentioned that on the show as well. Like, just like, yeah. He's just like, well, Aris made a funny joke about it. Aris said he's like a dog, which men are.
Right. Like, oh, Aris did the great, like my dog. Right. It's like that dog, no, that dog, and forgets all, that was a great, because my dog does that too. Yeah, exactly.
My dog does that too.
So I want to talk about Mike and Aris talking.
Yeah.
About how she saw that they're kind of finally catching up off after she saw what he said last week.
Yeah. I think that, again, those two do have a real, those two are real. I really believe that their
me too.
Connection is there. And I believe that they both sort of want it to work. Like, I definitely believe in their relationship. I don't think it's fake at all. Again, I think he's way too young and not ready to settle down with anybody. Mm-hmm. And as she keeps saying, like, we have a lot of work to do. And that's because he is not ready to settle down. Again, just the quality, not even quality, because I really do he's a guy that I like, but it's just like, this is not going to work out at this time. Maybe you guys can revisit this relationship in the future.
I kind of feel like he manipulates situations a little bit too much too, and just doesn't really apologize forwardly about the issue. Like, he's not clearly addressing, like, yeah, you did say you were bored, and yeah, you did make out with David or kiss him for a minute and not tell me on that first night when you were trying to be all about me when you entered the house. And he's like, yeah, but he was the only other person I knew. So of course I latched on to him. It's like, no, you don't have to. You don't have to.
Right.
It's not of course, it's not a no-brainer. It's not well, what else was I to do? No, right. And not complain to him that you wish you didn't choose me instead of him.
Do you ladies think that Aris is holding him accountable enough? I know they're not official or anything, but they seem to make up pretty quickly in this episode. Maybe there's something we didn't see. But she seems to be like, oh, well, they start kissing, like, oh, you kiss someone else, but, we're going to keep trying to work harder here. So,
well, this is what I think is so cool about Aris, is that she's so level-headed, and even like she doesn't explode over everything. I think she does a really good job of not taking things too personally, and she knows Mike, and she knows maybe Mike is like dramatic in the way he talks. So maybe him saying like, I'm bored. Maybe that was just like a really dramatic day for him. Listen, I like Mike, but I don't love him at this point.
No, I don't.
He has a lot of things that piss me off that he says. Like, I think. So that's why I feel bad for Aris, because he's saying he's bored with her, but she has enough like self-awareness or self-security, just kind of be like, okay, I'm not going to take that to heart. I'm not going to take it that personally. I can brush it off my shoulder because I know you probably didn't mean it because you speak dramatically.
Right.
And I think
Ladies,
that's her way of moving on.
You said that you kind of like Mike. You don't really like Mike. What guy on the show would you say you like the most at this point after 5 episodes? Like, just throw a name out there because it's hard. Who is it?
I like Mike. I like him emceeing. I think he's got insight into, I like when he's not involved in the drama. How he, like when all the exes washed up and he's like, look, you two need to talk.
That was pretty good. That was fun. Yeah.
I don't think he's an idiot. I think he's, right now, Pretty Ricky's looking good. Let's be honest.
Yeah, well, it's like the most tolerable. Yeah.
I know you're saying Pretty Ricky, but guess what? His ex is clearly coming back. They showed her. And what's funny is Darren said, she said her full name. She said, oh, that's Kat Dunn. And she said, that's Kat Dunn. So she knew her full name. And I was like, okay, Kat Dunn's got to be somebody I'm supposed to know. So I looked her up and she's from Big Brother or maybe The Bachelorette. Which one's she from? I looked it up. But anyways, I'll look. I got it right here. Hold
Bachelorette, I'll know who she is. Let's see.
No, it's probably from Big Brother. I'm sure it's
because that's NBC. It's not.
Yeah, so she's CBS Big Brother, former NBA dancer and beauty queen.
Oh, I think
she was a house guest on Big Brother 21, obviously USA. It says here.
Is she blonde with big boobs?
Yes. She looks blonde and big boobs.
Okay, blonde with big boobs. She was only on Big Brother. Yeah, I remember her. She seemed fine. Again,
anyway, so that's who's coming in for Pretty Ricky. I didn't know that they dated at all. I mean, I don't know much about Pretty Ricky besides that he cheated
on her with. Yeah, maybe that's who he cheated on her with.
Oh, well, that would be some really great drama for episode 6. Then that could be good.
The relationship was open though.
Yeah, it was okay. It was open, but it was open, but he still didn't tell her when he was hooking up with other girls. So that he's like, he's the only idiot that could mess up an open relationship. He didn't tell me. He's allowed to hook up with other people, but then he didn't tell me when he did. So maybe this is the girl that he did that with. That's a great point, Jenna. I like that. That could be something fun for episode 6 for sure.
Yeah.
Can we go back to and Mike real quick?
Sure.
I think at the heart of this, and I guess I'm jumping ahead, to the table of truth.
No, let's talk about the table of truth.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's the big thing we still have to talk about. Yes.
Okay. So can I kick it off with Mike and Arise? So
Please do.
I think that to defend Mike a little bit, I definitely, where I'm going to give him the very big benefit of the doubt and say it's not necessarily manipulative. I can empathize with being like a slightly messy person that just does, as you said, Jenna, that just is like dramatic. And like when you're mad at me, sometimes I'm like, stop, just love me. Like, and he's like, don't just be cute, I'm mad at you. And I'm like, yay, hugs. You know what I mean? It's like, and it's not manipulative. It's just like, I don't know. I did. He's like, well, you said, and I'm like, I did. Don't listen to me. I don't know what I say half the time, which is.
I agree. Totally.
Right. It's like, I don't know. It's a tigger of a person.
People can make these like completely unintentional, absent-minded mistakes and hurt people and not realize what they're doing. And I do feel like that's the majority of Mike.
Right.
And Arise sees that. So that's why.
It's not personal. However, again, I am an adult and he's my husband and I do usually. At the end of the day with these two, I think she got it. She had a like you got what he said to her or when during their I talk, you repeat was like, I value you. You're my best friend. Like at the end of the day, I think that's what those two have a lot of genuine love for each other. Should they be in a relationship? I certainly do not think so. And I think she gets that too. It's like I hear you and you're saying you've got a lot of love for me, but like you're not really going to change your behaviors.
So
like for her to expect him to is self-sabotage.
So in regards to the table of truth this week, I'll give the producers some credit. They're trying to actually give us some type of deep meaning to their relationship where they actually, hey, let's do a listening exercise and actually not have it just be a fight. Repeat back, don't fight back, just repeat back what they said and how they're feeling, even if you disagree with it. So it's almost like they were trying to do some type of therapy this week, which I thought was interesting and something different that most weeks they're just fighting and it's sex and hookups, even though we're not really getting that much of that this season.
I love this. I thought this was such a fantastic idea. It was so brilliant by the producers. I don't know how they came up with it, or to think about having them do almost some serious therapy. Because I feel like, how many people in your life do you just, and it doesn't even need to be a romantic person, do you just want them to shut up for a minute
and listen,
and not interrupt you? Like, whether that's your best friend, a sibling, a cousin, a parent, just shut up for a minute. Right. You always, or you're not hearing me. Like, let me tell you why I'm upset. So I thought it was such a brilliant idea. Danny was so articulate and well spoken and clear what she wanted to say to David. Hit the mark, definitely. Although she did give him the go ahead, but maybe she was regretful of that. I don't know. That whole situation is weird.
Yeah. So that was my one thing. She said all those things, but I was like, if you tell him it's okay to date someone, try not to get so mad when he actually goes and does what you said was okay to do, because it makes you look not so great. And yes, we're all feeling for you in this moment, Danny, but then, at least if he's going to go do it, say, look, I'm not comfortable with you doing that, but you're going to do what you want to do. At least say it maybe that way, instead of saying, yeah, go ahead and do what you got to do, because you're clearly upset by it still. And it hurts to see.
I'm kind of having an epiphany now that she probably was so quick to give him the green light out of embarrassment. Because think about, like, if somebody comes to you, somebody that you're hooking up with, hanging out with, and says that they're interested in somebody else, but they don't want to hurt your feelings, it's kind of like, oh, great. So yeah, do it, because now I'm mortified. I don't want you to think that I care so much that now I have this grip on you. Like, now I'm forcing you to stay with me. Like, you should just be loyal to me because you want to be, not because you're forced. So that's probably just really embarrassing. So you just, maybe she was trying to play it off like, it's cool, it's fine, I don't even like you that much either.
Well, the way on that, I think that the way in which the exercise panned out was very telling about the relationship too. Like, I don't think the goal was to listen to them and then repeat them verbatim as David did. It was to say, like, what I heard from what you said is that I'm insensitive. And that, not to go, like, he literally said, all right, I know what you said. You said I was given and the point is, it's like, yes, good at re-quoting me back to me. But I think she's upset, not because I think Danny in her heart of hearts knows there's not, like, isn't like, it becomes an insensitivity issue at this point. It's like, yes, of course, for whatever reason, she's going to say, sure, go for it. But it's still hurtful, even if you say that. And the behavior of just disregarding someone then it's not that I don't think he's mad. She's mad that he's flirting with Kira. It's like, wow, okay. Like, the man.
Not just about it in general. She has the right to be in her feelings about it, the entire situation in general. Even if she said yes, she'll like, okay, well, that was me 2 days ago.
And again, common courtesy. It's like, I'm not saying you can't flirt with this person, but be a little sensitive to the position I'm in here. And it's like, okay, you said okay. Yay, I love you, Kira. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Well, they also put them purposely in all those damn twin beds in one freaking room. Like, well, how am I supposed to get some privacy? I guess I can talk in other parts of the house too. But if you're honestly trying to, like, cuddle all night with somebody, so sleep on the damn couch. I mean, it's somewhat well done by the producers. They're going to cause some type of drama there and uncomfortableness. But if we actually want David and Kira to hook up, won't David be a little more comfortable if there's another, like, a couple extra rooms that he can go hide in? I'm just being honest, right? I mean,
the closet? No.
Well, technically he's
another thing.
He's out of the closet. Technically, he's pansexual. He's doing this thing.
Hop in there and hook up with.
I mean, then we have Ray and Nicole. Are we surprised at all that Ray can't even think about anything she said? Because it was a minute, and a minute's too long for him to be able to digest somebody sharing their feelings.
Do you think that they really gave him 3 attempts like that? She repeated herself for another minute and then he still couldn't do it. And then she had to do another minute and then he still could, like, did they or is that all edit and funny? Because I mean, holy crap, Ray, God, we thought you were dumb before with the way you, like, have your relationships. You can't even, like, think, you can't even remember, comprehend some things that she says. Like, you don't have to do the whole damn thing like David, just a couple things.
To Pam's point, he was probably so lost in, like, the instructions of the being too kind to him, but maybe he's thinking, like, oh, I have to repeat it back
Memorize.
like a script. I have to memorize, and I can't memorize it. It's like, no, you can do what you got out of it, your
Right.
interpretation.
The
Just
subtext.
listen to what she said. It wasn't hard at all. She was saying was that you clearly were on two different pages on what you thought the relationship was. Like, you just weren't direct to each other. Like, that was all, is that she thought one thing and you thought another, and that you
Yes.
didn't have communication.
Yeah, yes. For everybody, I don't remember all the things, but I wrote like Danny, well-spoken and great. David, repeated verbatim. Nicole, too nice to him. Ray equals oi. Like, he could, like, I didn't even have oi. Like, he was just like, way
So
too
the one
hard.
relationship we didn't talk about tonight at all was the Min Lee and the Jamar relationship, which I don't care. They're both gone off the show. I want to spend as little amount of time on this as possible. You know what I'm saying? So,
Jamar,
so
sensitive
it was all, it's they were a waste of space on the show. I'm glad that they're both gone.
Sexual person.
I don't mean to be like unkind or anything, but I just really, Jamar, it just does not seem like a good person. He really,
No, I think Jamar needs a lot of therapy. Like, I almost have flipped in this episode from feeling bad from disliking him to feeling bad for him. Like, the way he responds
lost, right?
to be
like
her is like, fuck you, you're obsessed with me and I hate you.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, okay, buddy. And again, I know they're young and stuff, but it's like, who hurt you, Jamar?
Right.
He seems very wounded now. Like, when his it's like, I cared about you and you didn't like, whoa, we didn't get any of this from you guys' interaction. He's burying that stuff very deep. So it's like, huh. And her, it's weird to just sit there and declare how sexual you are when someone's trying to communicate. It's like, this isn't the time to hear how sexual. You're great. You're so sexual. I'm so glad how liberated you are. But like, simmer down, hun. Yeah, I don't know. That was weird. I agree. It's like, whatever. I'm glad they're gone too, because it's like.
Yeah, and then the only other thing is the Devon thing. Devon had a thing, and she's saying that she's like, she's number one or better than Min Lee, basically is what she said. But I'm interested to see what happens with Devon for the rest of this season. The only, ex she had was him. That was nothing. And then if they're not going to bring on her baby daddy, she's going to have her funny little quotes in there. But I'm not sure she's not going to just hook up with one of these dudes. There's no, if she's top of the totem pole here, literally totem pole on the show, but she's not going to go after any of these losers. Like, what are we doing?
These are children, and she's an adult with a child, and she needs like a man like isn't going to wash up on the beach. Like, I don't think Devon's
I swear, I know this is conspiracy corner, and I obviously know this isn't true, but I swear that she's like also a producer on the show, because she's always asking the best questions. She's always trying to get insight from people, trying to challenge their view on it. Well, what would you do if you were in this person's shoes? Or why do you think it feels this way? I'm like, God, she's either producer's dream or she is a producer on this show, because she's the only one like really trying to ask the insightful questions and like getting the good sound bites, She's
the best. And like her
tying things together. Yeah,
she's the best. I take back everything I said about her on the challenge. I love her now. She's great. I agree. She's not going to hook up with any of these children. Like, she has a child. She doesn't want to date one. She is like, whatever. And I like her. Again, Jenna, producer.
And let's remember, when she was on the challenge, she was one of those people that I loved to hate, because remember, she was partnered with Bear, and some of their interactions were so freaking funny, and she like rolling her eyes at him and stuff. Like, it was entertaining TV. So as much as I didn't really like her on the challenge, I still found her so entertaining. And you know what? Doing all these different after shows with you ladies over the years, I've come to just appreciate. So when I don't like somebody, but I'm like, I can't wait to see what they do next week, do I really not like them that much? Because they're entertaining the shit out of me. So I can appreciate it more now that we have the Fessies and the Jamars and the Bryces come into this world. And I'm like, please go away. You're not entertaining me, so.
Right. You're just a dick. You're not amusing.
You're not an entertaining dick.
Right. Yeah. You're just
So the totem pole of secrets, or totem pole of whatever the hell it is called, they have to go down there. They got Elias going down there to the beach. They got Devon and they got Pretty Ricky. We know for sure Kat Dunn is coming for Pretty Ricky. They showed her. Now we don't know if they'll have a double person come. So we don't know if Devon's going to get someone. We don't know if Elias will get someone. If Elias gets the girl that we I think that he cheated on Renin with, that could be something huge.
Crazy. I would feel really bad for Renan.
I would too, but thank God. But
I think she would leave. I would.
But it would be so but it would actually be very like it would be so entertaining to see. Is she going to talk to this girl? Is the girl going to confront her and say, "Look, I'm sorry, I cheated on your husband with him on you"? I don't know. It would be something though.
I think she would leave.
Really? Oh yeah. And by the way, when exes used to leave, or when people used to leave this show, wasn't there a bigger reason than just like?
Yeah, you weren't really like allowed to just leave.
Weren't you like voted off or like something? Or
it used to be that it used to be like people didn't want to leave. And
right. And you got voted off. That was better. This is just like you can leave whenever you want. This is dumb.
Yeah, they did.
I thought you got voted off like a couple. Like, was it the season with Devin and Marie? I remember that you had to go to like this room and you had to talk about and you had to get voted off.
Crush. You would cut her crush. Remember?
Yes, that was so much better.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
Wow, we just had like that's the missing piece too from this season. There, we knew that there was like all these things that are not making it as good as the past one. And also, they're not doing the cutting or crushing.
Yeah, they used to have a host.
I got a crush.
Remember?
I got
Romeo.
a crush.
Oh my God.
And they would like call them all into the cutter. Right. It was like if there was a real relationship brewing with someone, they would get the coconut cutter crush. Wait, is that even the same show? Yeah.
Whatever it was, the cutter crush thing was definitely on last season. It was so much better.
Yeah, and Romeo, as maybe unenthusiastic as he was
no host this season as well. Not like you said though, Romeo had no personality, but it was something.
No, one time he did though. One time Nicole on X on the Beach 2, that season with Morgan, she was getting aggressive and Romeo was like, "No, you're not going to talk to me like that." And I was like, "Yes, Romeo, finally some spark for you."
Did they treat Romeo like TJ? Like, you were in Romeo's house. I paid for you to be in this house.
The handler.
Right. Who's Romeo going to let go tonight?
Yeah, exactly. Who does Romeo think is the truest couple in this house? Romeo's therapy.
Romeo's therapy. Romeo's got some fun mini games for y'all to play to work on your relationships.
Romeo hand-selected these exes.
Oh my God. All right, ladies, I unfortunately have to go to work. And I had to go work all day right now. But yes, this was great. I'm glad we got to break down this episode. This gives us some hope for next week. And I also think we need to break in a segment where we talk about the new Homecoming. So we'll do like a double feature thing. We'll do like 30 minutes on X and then 30 minutes on like the 3 episodes of Homecoming that'll be out by next week if we can find time to watch those and stuff. Because it's Jen, I know you haven't had a chance yet, but you are in for a treat. Okay. Pam and I are caught up, I believe.
Yep.
But oh my goodness, you're gonna fly through them too. It's not like you're not gonna feel it. Like, you know how you get into your phone, you say, Jenna, you get in your phone sometimes. I'm watching them. You're gonna do this. You're gonna do this. You cannot take your eyes away from the screen. It is so good what they do with this season. And we've liked the other Homecoming seasons as well. This one so far, it's my favorite. It has to be. And it's only 2 episodes in.
Okay.
I love your earrings, Jenna.
I don't know why all of a sudden I just was like, all right, well, I don't know.
We're done with the show.
I don't know what, just
take it off, girl. Take it off.
I was thinking, I have too many thoughts in my head.
All right, ladies, I'll see y'all next week.
So good. Okay. See you next week.
Love you guys.
Bye.